Hey friends, let's have a little chat, shall we? We have this week some very fascinating people from both the Hebrew scriptures as well as the Greek New Testament. And these figures, these heroes of faith known as Abraham and Sarah and Simeon and Anna. So let's chat through those four, okay? Let's just do it briefly, and then let's talk about one thing that ties all four of them together, okay? All right. Abraham, man, the father of many nations. Abraham was told at a certain point to leave his country and go into another one. He was commanded by God at one point to leave his place of comfort and to go into a risky endeavor of trust. It's very easy to read these passages and miss that. Now, what about Sarah, his wife? Well, Sarah was always wanting to have a son, and then God tells her that she's going to have a son. His name is going to be Isaac. Man, sounds like the story of Sarah is learning to believe the promises when God says them to you. That's pretty powerful, right? So Abraham kind of embodies, at least in these passages, trust. And Sarah seems to embody belief. And it makes sense that those two things would be married together, don't you think? But what about Simeon and Anna? Abraham and Sarah back in the early chapters of Genesis, first book of the Bible. But Simeon and Anna are in the Greek New Testament in the book of Luke. Well, Simeon was an old man, spent day and night in the temple. In that sense, he was a very reverent guy. But he always wanted to see the Christ. He wanted to see the redemption, the Savior that was going to come. And so when Joseph and Mary bring Jesus to the temple, since he spends all his time there, Simeon saw him. And so Simeon had the chance to see the redemption he always was hoping to see. But Anna is a little different. Simeon embodied patience, but Anna maybe not so much. She embodied something else. And the text says something profound. The text says that Anna was a prophet. Now that's a title you don't throw around lightly. And here it is in the book of Luke being used early on in reference to this wonderful woman named Anna. And when she sees the baby Jesus, guess what she does? She goes around and talks about him to all those people that were looking for the redemption of Israel. That's what the text says. But Israel was kind of started back with Abraham. Oh. And Israel was meant to be a tribe that blesses all the tribes of the world. So when we say the redemption of Israel, we mean the redemption, the fulfillment of God's plan to bless all the tribes through this tribe Israel. All this is tied up in there. And so she takes the event of seeing Jesus and interprets it rightly and sees like, this is the redemption of Israel. And then she goes around telling it. If Abraham is a person that embodies trust, and Sarah is a person that embodies belief, if Simeon is a person that embodies patience, Anna embodies prophetic wisdom. That's lovely. Now, all of us, we've got to stop and realize that we have something to learn from Abraham and Sarah, Simeon and Anna. Trust, belief, patience, and prophetic wisdom. All of us need to cultivate these things. We guess what? It's not young folk that get this. It's pretty difficult to be young and have trust and belief and patience and prophetic wisdom. But if you stick around the church long enough, and if you start to take in the teachings of this God-man named Jesus that we celebrate at Christmas time, if you actually take it upon yourself to be spiritually formed, even you, young people, have the ability to be in the same rank as Abraham and Sarah and Simeon and Anna. Because guess what? In all of us, yeah, God does have a redemption plan. That's true. But he also really does invite us into having greater trust and belief and patience and prophetic wisdom. Because you and I and everyone else we know have the gift, the joy, the job, the opportunity, the blessing of following in the footsteps of Abraham and Sarah and Simeon and Anna, and yes, even Christ himself. So this Christmas, as we come around to all of these passages, it's very easy to get caught up and focus on the main characters. These guys are not main characters. That's just playful. But it's important to know that the Christmas story, this one, inspires us in many ways because it truly is the hope of the world. So this week, go forth and be like Abraham and Sarah, Simeon and Anna. And like I said, also be like Christ. Be well.